to make them do it again and again. Like, I'm going to show your parents, I'm going to send this to your school friends, I'm going to, put this online. Everyone's going to know what you did. And then they can use that to keep them doing whatever it is that they want them to do. Social media is a huge one. This is one that I get a little worked up about. I always say I have bronchitis today, so you may not get the full version of me worked up about this. But social media, if your child has unmonitored access to the internet, traffickers and a whole bunch of other people have unmonitored access to your child. Now, how many of you have children? I do too. How many of your children get online? Okay, now you don't have to raise your hand on this one. How many of you know exactly all the websites that your child visits online and when they see it? Okay, yeah. I said you don't have to if you don't want to, but yeah, I'm trying. It's a struggle for me. My daughter's 14. It is a struggle to keep up with her. But if we're not watching what our kids are doing online, there are other people watching what they're doing online. We may not want to put the time into it, but you better believe that there are people out there who are willing to put the time into it. There are people who are setting up fake profiles, and it doesn't always even have to be fake, trying to get information, because you know what kids post online. And Holly and I just went to a social media safety night for Prince William a couple weeks ago, and I made my daughter go, because I'm like, I know I tell you this all the time, but please have someone else tell you. Kids post all kinds of things online, all kinds of things. You can figure out where they go to school. You can figure out what kind of mood they're in that day. You can figure out, oh, this one is not having a good time with her parents right now. This might be a good time to step in, offer a listening ear, offer a shoulder to cry on, start that process of pulling them away from the family. So there's all kinds of things online. If we're not watching what our kids are doing, like I said, someone is. So we have to monitor what they're doing online. When we were young, it wasn't a problem. I always said if I wanted to talk to my friends, I had to get the phone with a really long cord and like try to find a closet and shut the door so I could have some privacy, and still my mom's on the other side of the door listening to what I was saying. So, all of this privacy and all of this access to things out there, it wasn't a problem when we were young, but it is definitely a problem now. There's some great tools on the internet. I'm not saying the internet is purely evil. There's some great tools, there's some great resources on there, but there are people out there on the internet just waiting for these innocent children to get online so that they can exploit them. So we really need to be on top of what our kids are doing. Another common grooming technique, you can start with friendly conversation, buying gifts, assessing the home life situation, can be done online, can be done in person, and then determining the vulnerabilities. So that's really where it gets to. And one of the greatest deterrents that we can give children is self-confidence. A lot of times I've been reading and I've been hearing, the traffickers are going to go after the kids that they see as vulnerable. If your kids are more self-confident and be like, no, I'm not doing that, or get away from me, or no, this is not okay, they're not going to waste their time on that one because there's a whole bunch of other ones that they can pour that time into. But if they see this vulnerability in the kids, they can start getting in, they can start trying to romance them, they can start building these dreams in their head of what this wonderful life is going to be in that grooming phase. And then, like I said, it only takes one time to have them exploited, to have them trapped into this life.
Okay, so the signs that you want to look for, there's going to be changes in behavior for the child or teenager. An absence from school, provocative dress, definitely attitude change, they'll be questioning authority a lot more, signs of abuse, any bruises or marks, even patches of hair missing from being pulled. There's so many things that you wouldn't normally look for, and they can be very well hidden. They might also show fear and anxiety, nervousness, withdrawal from their family and usual friends. So keep those things in mind. Also, changes in lifestyle. All of a sudden, money and certain material things are important. Possessions and tattoos. Tattoos could be a number or branding, maybe somewhere less obvious, behind the neck, or just look for those types of signs. Also, a change in their peer groups. A new boyfriend tends to be the very popular way of recruiting young teenage girls, even as young as 13. All of a sudden they have an older boyfriend that, oh, he doesn't go to that school, or he's out of school now, or he just turned 18, or whatever the story may be. But there's new friends. They can be pulled in by other young girls. They can be pulled in by friend groups. We've even heard of recruitment going on within youth groups. So it's absolutely everywhere. And of course, there's the gang affiliation, because gangs are definitely into this. This is a way for the gangs to make money. It's cheaper than drugs. I mean, there's nothing they have to buy. They just have to have possession of a female to be able to sell her. So during the recruitment and grooming process, pimps will show their victims, they will shower their victims with compliments designed to gain their trust, make them feel flattered and pretty. And so they're usually a few years older than the victims, late teens, early 20s, but they talk to them as if they're a girlfriend. They will sometimes even meet the parents and appear to be the perfect boyfriend. Oh, he's so sweet, he does this and this, but he is manipulating behind the scenes. And he's preying on her insecurities, lack of self-confidence or self-esteem, and of course making those big promises. And they may also be accompanied by other females that, oh yeah, he's a good guy, and that are really smooth talking. They've been manipulated as well, but they know that they need to help recruit because they've been recruited, and they're trapped, but also they're living in fear of their trafficker, and they're having to bring more young girls in. So they're going to paint that glamorous picture, and in the same time manipulating the young girl to turn away from her family and friends. So understanding this process can really, really save a life.
Okay, so a bit of a recap of the process that we're going to term pimp control that we had. Step one, the pimp found a need and met it. It could be, said for the homeless or runaways, it could be as simple as shelter and food and clothing. Or for the kid living in a huge house, it could be attention, any kind of thing, any need that they have. Step two, the victim was willing to do anything for him. So that's after that time of building this trust, building this dependent relationship, getting to the point that, oh, I love you, I love you, I love you. We're gonna have this great life together, but I need some help. I need some help. I have to pay the rent, or I have to make a car payment. I've heard that from several speakers. That was a common thing used. I just need this one thing from you. And step three, after the trafficker is using them, there is extreme guilt. The trafficker is going to feed off of that. And as I said before, it only has to happen once for them to feel this trapped feeling. Step four, there could be fear to expose the victim, threaten their loved ones. As we'll see in the video, family members can be threatened. And if you think, keep in mind, this happens to women and it can happen to men as well. But if we focus on the children that we're talking about, think about how easily children are manipulated and how easily grown-ups can plant thoughts in children's minds. So if you think about someone very meticulously planting these things in your child's mind of, you're worthless, you've done this now your life is ruined, your parents aren't going to want you, why even bother? No one's going to want you after you've done this. Only I will want you. I'm the only one that you have now. And as they said before, even going to the police aren't going to help you, which sadly sometimes happens, and there's a lot of people working to change that. But there's just a lot of fear and isolation. So once all of this comes into place, the victims feel trapped, and then it becomes their life. And there's almost that acceptance, like, all right, this is my life. And as Holly had mentioned, even if they do get picked up by the police or go in, they've been brainwashed into not trusting the police. I said sometimes with good reason, but we're working to change that. We want them to trust the police and get help. But they will often try to get back to the trafficker. I've read about that, and I've heard people say that they can be delivered back to their families, but there's so much going on inside of them being taught that their family's not going to want them anymore. Who would want them after everything they've done? That they would rather just go back to the trafficker because they're like, all right, I'm the only one. I'm the only one you've got now. So it really is something that is severely traumatizing. And what we might see, or, oh, you know, there's these girls who just, oh, they love to do this. I've heard that actually a couple weeks ago. Someone in the church had said that, oh, well, they love to do this. No, no one does. I've been teaching 21 years. We always talk about careers, what the kids want to do when they grow up. I have never had a single one say, I want to grow up and be a prostitute. Doesn't happen, does not happen. That's not it. There's a reason that they're doing it, and the reasons are not good. And there's a process that they go through to get in, and there's also a very long process of healing from all the trauma that they go through once they get in. But that's definitely something that we can try to help with. And as I said, my prayer is that we can get to them before the trafficking happens and just eliminate all of these horrible things that they have to go through.
Okay, and so if you suspect trafficking, the National Center for the Missing and Exploited Children is really the number to call, the 1-800-THE-LOST. Their services, they have all the resources at their fingertips, so they can dispatch the police. You can certainly call police, but this number is great to keep in mind. It's easy to remember, 1-800-THE-LOST, because they receive reports regarding sexually explicit images and erotica, online enticement of a child, prostitution, molestation, any misleading information on the internet that pertains to sexual material of children, including unsolicited communication. So anything along that lines, you can definitely give a call or give this number to someone that you think may need it.
So some things we can do, and Chris is actually going to have some really good strategies and ideas for you from Just Ask Virginia as well following this. But one thing, what I did a few years ago, what Holly has done, is become an ambassador of hope. And the ambassadors of hope, we are volunteers. I said, I'm a teacher, I'm not anyone special or gifted in this area, but it's something that I care about. So anyone can get trained to become an ambassador of hope. The Defender's Pledge is something that we're going to go into more detail later, and that is especially important for you guys. You are the perfect people for this. We really need your help on this. You can give. Shared Hope is one organization that's doing a lot of work. There are also other local organizations. Just Ask Virginia is doing a lot of great things. If you want more information, you can see me later. There's a couple of safe houses that have been developed in Washington, D.C. that are local. Also Youth for Tomorrow over in Bristow is doing a lot of work helping children go through healing after they've been rescued. And stay informed. You can join our mailing list. Let us know. We have plenty of information here. Also, all of these things that we have here on the table are for you to take. Please take them. There's one, Slaying the Giant, which specifically addresses how the church can respond to the human trafficking issue. It's wonderful. It has a lot of good scripture in there. Also, locally, Holly and I have been trying to talk to a lot of the schools, just to let you know, and the police department here in Prince William, Virginia. There's a lot of information coming out of Fairfax County that we've received in different presentations and talking to different people, just so that you know what is happening here in Prince William County. There is an initiative in the Prince William County schools to educate children about what teen sex trafficking looks like. It's a bit limited at this point. You may have a little bit more exposure to it here on the eastern end. There's a pilot program to do some training for 9th graders, and I'm not sure if that happened this year. I know it was started last year, and they're kind of going through some growing pains right now and kind of figuring out how that's going to develop, but it is in process. So the school system is definitely aware and trying to get this spread so that kids are more aware. And then we did make contact. There's one officer in Prince William County who is designated as the trafficking expert, but she also has other responsibilities. So you can imagine she's a very busy person. But she said, we wanted to let you know that it's definitely happening here in Prince William County. She couldn't give us any definite numbers because sometimes the way things are reported, it's not always logged in as a trafficking case, but just to let you know that the Prince William County Police Department is aware of it, that there are also efforts in place to make sure that victims are properly identified and receiving the help that they deserve. And from what we've heard from the Fairfax County people, again, it's definitely happening. It happens in the suburbs, it happens in the malls, it happens in schools, it happens everywhere. And that's not just, oh, that's just happening in Fairfax County. It's definitely, it's here in Prince William County as well.
Do you want to introduce the video we're going to show?
Yes. All right. So now we're going to take a break. You won't hear us. This video is chosen by Shared Hope International just to show, and it focuses on sex trafficking here in the United States, just to give you a very clear image of what it looks like, and also how it can happen to any kid from any family. You're going to hear from two different girls who have had experience with this. So we'll watch this. It lasts a few minutes, and then we will finish.
Sorry, more my little dog. So as right before Chris comes up, I just wanted to see if you all could pick up the defenders cards that are in the middle of the table, just so you can take a look at these while I'm talking about them. And this is something that only men can do, is become a defender. So I hope hearing this information, watching these videos, stirs up that righteous anger within you that this should not happen to our children, this should not happen to any children. So if you are interested, there's probably pens on the tables too. You can fill out these cards and you can leave them with us and we'll mail them in to Shared Hope. And you can also keep the little card here and put it in your wallet. But this is something, a pledge, an oath between you and God. And so consider it. If this is something that you are willing to do, this would make a huge difference for the kingdom. Thank you. And so now Chris Davies is going to come up.
Thank you for that. Hi, good morning. Thanks, Holly. And, again, thank you so much. You both been, Crystal and Holly have just been so passionate for this, and I am not one of those people who's a lion for the cause. You know what I mean? There's some people out there who just have that real talent of just that ferocity, that spirit that they can get people animated and activated, and there's a place for that kind of talent. I'm so glad that you're doing this. I've got a different kind of personality. I've got a different background, and I think that my talents come to bear on this too. As you're listening, if you're thinking about these invitations that Shared Hope is giving to you to get how you can get involved, and you're thinking, yeah, I'm in. Please act on that while your blood's still boiling about it. Please act on it. But if you're kind of more like me and you have a little bit more of you got more of a one-on-one kind of personality, and you've got more of a quiet, supportive kind of personality, if that's the way you are, there's actually ways that you can get involved in this too. You don't have to do any kind of, you don't have to step outside of your comfort zone like I do when I come and speak to a group. You can do a number of different things, and I want you to just consider that as you're thinking about ways to get involved. I didn't plan on talking about this, but I really want to support what Shared Hope is saying. I want to also just mention the amount of respect I've got for them as an organization. They've been doing this a long time, and they really, really know their stuff. They've been helping our community and a lot of different groups within our community really know how to look at this problem without foggy glasses, because we do have this sense of what we think the problem is. And I know that for each of you already, that sense has been completely shattered and reshaped in the past hour here. You think about human trafficking differently than you did when you walked in. I'm pretty sure about that. And some of you might have even known about it. I learn something new every time I meet with a group about this topic, and every time I meet with my colleagues in some of the other organizations. So before I talk about Just Ask and what I do, and share my little piece of this, I want to just piggyback on something that they said about pornography And I feel like that's something that I want to also add my voice as a man to say another thing, because I know I'm talking to a group of people, but the fact that you're here, it's obvious that you're going to have a very easy time making a pledge not to buy sex, right? That's a pretty easy pledge to make. I feel like I'm talking to an audience of people that you went out of your way to come here today. That tells me something. But I also know I'm talking to an audience of men who live in and work and consume media and communicate in this society that we live in this environment. And I know what you see. I know what you don't need to go seeking out pornography, do you? Right? It doesn't. You don't need to go to it. It comes to you. It's all around you. And you can even you don't even necessarily need to be on a computer or on a TV screen. You can find pornography in a sense. You can find opportunities to invite your brain to labor on those kind of thoughts and those kind of interests having to do with girls, kids. You can find that all around you, and that is something that I think we as men can really do a lot to support each other in championing the cause to get men to take responsibility for themselves. And part of that has to do with saying, when you see something that's not appropriate, or you hear somebody talking about it and saying something about a girl or a woman that is not appropriate, actually stepping out and saying something about it. When you see an image, or when you see somebody, and you're tempted to just kind of look for a little bit longer, that's just understand what's happening at that moment. I've had to get into you know what it's like. I've had to get into a habit of letting my eyes be really bouncy. And, okay, and that's not something I'm going to be looking at. When I'm checking my email or trying to visit a website for whatever reasons, and I see over in the margins, the margins, right? So these are habits to get into, and these are habits to teach other men to get into. And then the thing I want to talk with you about for the balance, and for most of my time, is going to be about the audience that's not here, and that's our youth. Think about the video you just saw. I just gave you a hint to the answer to the question I'm about to ask. Who was it who saved Brianna, and who was it who failed to save Lacey? Thank you.